But my thing is, I mean, the universe works in one way. It's input and output. So it's like, if I'm putting in all of this work and you putting in all of the work, there's no way that both of us are gonna lose. We all gonna win. It's a C for everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that you're training for a 5K and I'm training for a 5K and we both get last place.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Caffeine and Creatives. I am your host, X, where we like to talk to creative minds about creative times and the caffeine that wakes them up and keeps them going. To my right today, the creative, not just artist, but the creative mind that damn near doesn't need any introduction. Vocalist, singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, pet enthusiast.
I love the pets.
I saw a recent interview of your vet journey.
Yep.
Full out creative mind. Lola Ladaé.
Yes, it's me.
How you feeling
It's
today?
me. I'm feeling good, especially with this nice caramel macchiato.
Yes, that's it. That's used to be caramel macchiato. Used to be my go-to coffee.
Yeah, like you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah. Now I just need coffee.
Yeah, I feel
I'm almost at espresso shot.
like them little coffee cups ain't doing enough. I feel
I'm
it.
almost at. Are you an avid coffee drinker?
No, you know, like coffee is like just recently made its way into my life. Like when I got into like corporate America, is really when, you know, the norm was to go to the, you know, get a bagel, get coffee with your bagel. By noon, it's lunchtime. You know, get you another energy booster, which is either lunch or another coffee. And it's like you just get used to this coffee thing. But now, because I work on entrepreneur hours, it's like I could be drinking coffee at 7 p.m.
Yes. Agreed. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Coffee is a around-the-clock necessity in my life, especially in the industry that I work in, because studio hours are
Random.
very. So sometimes they be like, "You're drinking coffee? It's like 8 p.m." I'm like, "It's technically lunchtime for me."
Listen,
like right now.
and then turn around and still go to sleep at a good time.
Right.
Like the
feel
coffee
me?
does just what it needs to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So first question I like to ask all of my guests: define creativity.
Man, creativity to me is bringing something that you have in your mind that you have made up, you know? So that could be a song, that could be a painting, that can be a skit, that could be a something that you, even if it's like a invention or something that you've put together in your mind, that you've pieced together in your mind, and you've actually put the action and physical work to make it, whether it be tangible or something that can be read or something that could be seen by others, is creativity to me. Even sometimes speaking to me is creative. Like a lot of people do better with being creative with their words rather than being, you know, creative with their hands or being creative with their voice. So it's just things that you actually make up and pull out of yourself that other people get to share with you. That's creativity.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a friend recently about the type of guest that I want to have on Caffeine and Creatives, because just based off of my network, of course, a lot of my guests are going to be music related because that's my industry.
Yeah.
So I just know a lot of creatives in the music space. But eventually, I would love to get. I feel like creatives are could be in any industry. So like I would like to get architects. Creativity to me is your personal process for how you get things done.
Exactly.
So you could be a creative driver.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a creative, especially in Atlanta.
Especially truck drivers. That is some creativity,
right? It's like something didn't exist and now it does because I figured out how to get from point A to point B.
I got creative with it.
That makes you a creative.
Mm-hmm.
How does Lola Ladaé fit into that your definition of creativity? What makes you a creative?
In so many ways, man. I have my hand in so many things because my mind is like this when it comes to ideas and creating and being creative. Since I was young, I always was a creative, you know, whether that was like taking an old t-shirt that I had and putting it on my dog, you know, making a bow out of it, or writing a song or writing a book, or I've always been in this like, oh, I have this idea. Let me see how I can, you know, bring it out in a way where, you know, it's like even wild to me, you know, and that's something that I've done since I was like, you know, really younger, just always being in that artsy, creative space, you know. So that's like that Lola Ladaé there. It go way back.
What would you say are your what are your favorite senses to tap into creatively?
My favorites, that's a great question. That is a great question. My favorite senses to tap into are, when it comes to music specifically, or just listening, sounds get me first. Like, you know, so, you know, I could hear a dog barking, and before I actually hear the dog barking, I hear the dog barking in a rhythm. You know, it's like I hear it creatively. So it's like sounds get me first. And a lot of songs, I'm hearing the beat first. I'm not even hearing the words. It's the beat that is going to be like, yeah, this is the beat. Like, this is the song. I have to hear the beat first. So it's sound for me. And like a lot of times, like I'm no producer, but a lot of times I'll open up Logic, and you know how they have those like pre-sounds in there. I'll pick my key and I'll just put sounds together that sound good together. And then next thing you know, it seemed like I got like a whole little record. And it's just because these sounds, even though they weren't necessarily in the same folder or grouped together, you know, I made them sound like one. So it's sound for me.
Are you an auditory learner?
Yes, but I have to see it, then do it. So I have to like not only see it, but I have to understand what I'm doing too. And that was one of my struggles in like college. You know, teachers just want to show it to you on a TV screen, and I'd be like, what? You know, like, can you go in? Like, this is not connecting. Can you go into details? Can we go to the lab? Can we actually show me why this happened? So I have to have all three of them. I have to like see it, read it, then do it for it to make sense for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely a hands-on person. Like I'm an auditory learner, but I think I'm a learned behavior auditory learner because I'm an engineer first. So it's like the fact that I listen throughout the day, most times a day, like, all right, I can hear something and be like, okay, that's what that is. Yeah. But even when it comes to sound, like sound gets me, but even when it comes to like production and stuff like that, I'm a visual person. Yeah. Yeah, so like synesthesia is a real thing for me. Like I have to see the sounds. Like it has the sound like it's in a space, in a certain like room or an environment. Like I have to visually see what I'm hearing. Yeah. And if I can't see it, then it's not done. Yeah. Like people ask me like, how do you know if a song is finished? Like when I can see.
When you can see it. Yeah, I feel that. Are you the type of person like when you listen to a song, you see colors?
Yeah, I'm like, I'll see colors, but I'm also a texture person. So it's like...
So a song can give you like a feeling of a texture? Yeah. Really? Really? Have I heard that before? Wow, that's dope.
Yeah, it's like, I don't even know how to
explain. This song sounds fuzzy.
Yeah.
Song sound like a little bit of suede.
Yeah, it's like suede. This one is a silkier type. And it started making more sense, like, if we were to listen to stuff and like go down the hole. Yeah. Like, all right, cool. Exactly. For the people who don't know you, what are some must-knows, like, about Lola as far as, like, if you see me, this is what you're going to get?
Yeah. Man, I'm just always working, man. And it's because like I don't see myself going back to corporate America. So it's like I'm, literally in this process of making it work for myself. What did you say the young man name was, where he brought up the 3 things to like survive?
Trav.
Yeah, one of them was entrepreneurship, like owning your own business. And so my mind is really there, and really how I can run Lola Ladaé as a business, and how my umbrella businesses can run successful without me actually having to be there. So that's like where my mind has been for at least the last 2.5, 3 years, is that. And I'm trying to work on getting back more creative, because I've been a little bit too much work, and so focused on the future that sometimes I forget to really be aware and be in the moment. So people will be like, "You having fun, girl?" And I'm just like thinking about next week's show. Like, am I having fun? Like, and I'm sitting here thinking about what I have to do next week. So like, for example, a few of the things, new things that I have going on is that I just opened the Hustle and Low Studios out in Mableton. And then I have the events going on in Atlanta: Poetic Jazz, Peace and Music Fest, Urban Vendors Market. And simultaneously, working as an independent artist and wanting to travel and wanting to do tours and have merch and making sure all that stuff is together without really having a full team is where I am right
Which
now.
you're doing amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've seen an international show.
Yeah. Yeah, girl, I can say that now.
Yeah.
International artist. Yeah.
Out here moving around. Speaking of hustling low, define or paint the picture of how your mind works and the separation between hustle and passion with what you have going on now. Because you're, like you said, you have so much going on. Like you're, what do I have to, I'm thinking about, I'm already in next week.
Yeah.
Like 2022, what? I'm planning, I'm already first quarter 2023.
Right.
Some people, I know a lot of people that think that way. What is, like, how do you process that information? How do you separate, especially being an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Right? Having your own businesses. And one of my favorite, I think I'm going to have a reel when I'm compiling all of me referencing Kanye West quotes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I say, like, I heard Kanye West say
all
something. But something that he said that resonated with me, he was like, I don't feel like artists should have labels. I feel like they should have CEOs.
CEOs.
Yes. And I was like,
I could see that. But that's something I feel too. Like, you should just run yourself as a business, like
Exactly.
Lola Ladaé LLC, and literally run it as a business. You have a CEO, you have a treasurer, you have you have all of these things, and it's actually running like a brick and mortar, except it's just you. But to answer your question, so basically you're saying, like, how do I separate being like hustle versus passion?
Not even necessarily how you separate it. If there is some separation, I would love to hear your perspective on that. But what percentage of what you have going on now was passion driven versus, all right, I'm trying to get it?
Yeah, that's so crazy, because I was in this time period where I hear this quote, and it says, if you can't stay motivated, stay consistent. And so, it goes up and down, especially as an independent artist. One moment you'll be doing it because you're just so passionate. Like, I mean, music is like what I want to do. Like, whether, I don't have no choice at this point. I don't have no choice at this point. And so it's like, I'm passionate about music, but not only that, I'm passionate about all aspects of it, like collaboration and reaching out to different people to work with, and bringing great creatives together. And like, that makes me feel good. Like, that's why I started the Basement Unplugged, like seeing people and artists that are amazing, and then knowing a great producer, X, and like, yo, X, have you heard of fucking Thea Jones? You ain't heard of? You know what? Matter of fact, like, let me connect y'all. Like, that's what I love doing, and like seeing something great come out of that. And so a lot of when my passion when my hustle starts to fade, when I feel like I'm being stagnant, passion really keeps me like in it. Like I'll see a new artist, or I'll, work for a new artist. Like right now I work for So Far Sounds. And so I'm over the Atlanta region. And so I get to see a whole bunch of new artists, come, and like they're really good, and like they're new to Atlanta, so they know nobody. And it's like, yo, you're really talented, and I want to connect you with such and so and so, and I want to work with you and do all these things. So when my hustle fades, when I feel like I'm tired and things are stagnant, passion definitely keeps me driven. And when they there together, it's over. It's like 3 months nonstop. They were like, damn, Lola, when she sitting down?
I feel it for sure. I think we all get it. I feel like that's like the perfect flow space. When your hustle and passion like overlap each other, and it's kind of like, I'm going, but I don't even feel like I'm going. And then I look up and everybody is like, when did you do all of this? And you're just like, dog, I couldn't really. Like, you had to be there.
You had to be there. You literally had to be there. Yep.
One thing I love about everything that you have going on is the sense of community. Like, you have your hands on a lot of collaborative, like, bigger than me type of situations, from Basement Unplugged to your venue space with Hustle and Low, and all of these other collaborative artist showcases and things like that. What is the bigger than Lola vision that you have? Like, what is that purpose?
You know what? The reason why I'm really like that, because from back home, it's kind of like they're scared to do that. So I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. And there's so many talented artists that could be off the map right now if they just collaborated with certain people, if they really went out in the community and went to other people's shows outside of their own, who give compliments, share, and, do those things. And so, and I'm not saying that that's everybody in St. Louis, but a big majority of artists are scared, it seems like, to collaborate. But my thing is, the universe works in one way. It's input and output. So it's like, if I'm putting in all of this work and you putting in all of the work, there's no way that both of us are going to lose. We all can win. It's a C for everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that you're training for a 5K and I'm training for a 5K and we both get last place. It don't work like that. Like, we all, like, if we really, nurture and help each other and collab with each other, like, you're not my own, I can't hold you as a producer. You can't just only be my producer. That hold you in such a small demographic. There would be no way that you would ever, like, could be huge when you only sticking to one thing, And so I've always felt like, when it comes to collaboration in music, is bigger than me, in a sense of, like, everybody can win. Like, all of my connections are free game, especially if you were shooting with me in the gym. Like, all of my connections is free game, and how I got these streams and how I got this connection is all free game. And all you gotta do is ask or collab with me, and, like, so I've been like that, and that's something I'm very passionate about, is being able to collaborate with other artists and actually having something quality come out of it, and being proud of it, and be like, yeah, we both good. Now y'all know both names, right. So yeah.
I respect that a lot. How much of that, especially with you being from St. Louis, I'm from Newport News, Virginia, so it's like I hear the same story coming out of my city as well. How much of that do you attribute to like a place being someone's hometown? Because I have that conversation with a lot of people, not even just artists, just like culturally in general. It's like the biggest thing that I have conversations with in, like, creative spaces like this is how important it is to get out of
your hometown. Yeah,
because it's like I think the community that you grow up around, like me, like I have a 5-year-old son, and me and my wife talk about it all the time. It's like I don't want him to have friends based on proximity. Like, I want you to have a community based on interest and growth. So you learn that a lot when you go to college, especially if you go away to college. If you go out of state, it's like you're put in the middle of a new space. Sometimes it's a culture shock. For me, I know it was culture shock in college. But you're put in this space, but this is the first time in your entire life everybody around you is into the same thing that you're into. So it's like, it's kind of hard for me to differentiate how much, because I want to go back. I want to be that hometown hero too. Like my aspirations are like yeah, I'm from Newport News. Like I have like Pharrell, Timberland shoes to fill as far as like, all right, these people are proud, like the city is champions these people. Like if you're from Virginia, you'd be like, yeah, Pharrell, like you just start naming off these people. But I want to be that person as well as the person that was like, all right, I need you to leave and make something bigger, but I also need you to
come back.
Yeah. And create. Why can't we create these nurturing spaces at home? So
back home.
Can you speak to?
I agree on that. I highly agree on that. And like, you know, I speak on it with St. Louis because, you know, personally that's where I'm from. And I've even had conversations with other people saying, you know, like, oh, it's so hard to get people like to support you. And they say the same things about their hometown. And I think that's completely true. Like a lot of people, you know, who you grow up with don't necessarily grow with you.
Exactly.
And so when you're doing, you know, different things, it may make some people uncomfortable. It may make some people envious, and some people just, you know, aren't necessarily not supporting, but they're just used to just seeing you being plain old Armani. And like that's, you know, that's my real name. You know, they just know Armani. They're not seeing me as Lola Ladaé. They don't see me as, you know, owner of blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they just, what's up, Monty? You know, hey. And I understand that. And I feel like, you know, as an artist, you know, we sensitive about our shit. We want everybody to know what we got going on. And that actually brings me to another point. Is like, you know, as artists, when we do get to this certain point, right? Like, I know I'm a great artist now. I don't need a Grammy to tell me that. But I feel like a lot of us get to this point and we're like, where our Grammy? Like, we're waiting for this Grammy, or we're waiting for this recognition to be like, hey, we see you. When really all along, I mean, you know, I knew I was dope anyway, but thank y'all for the recognition.
Not to cut you off.
No, you good.
That reminded me of, I promise you, it's always going to be a Kanye West moment. I don't know why. I don't know why it's a Kanye West moment. Kanye does be dropping gems.
Yeah, like, he do. Okay. He do like he forces you to like feel him. And I think his like when he comes off so arrogant with it, it turns people off. But really, he be kind of.
I forgot what artist he was talking to, or that they said they were talking to him. They were on the phone with him, and they were discussing like a new idea on whether, I think it might have been a film project or like musically.
Yeah.
But they were on the phone. I'm sorry, they were on the phone with him. And they were like they were bouncing back ideas, and they were like, yeah, like I love that. Like, yeah, like if we do this and such and such and such, and then we can add this and we can add this person and all this other stuff. And then they said, man, like this is gonna be great. I really feel like we could win a Grammy off of this, or we could win an Emmy off of this, right? And he was like, why'd you kill the vibe?
Yeah. Like, why you even bring Grammy into this?
Yeah, but his specific words, he was like, we were right in the middle of a creative breakthrough, and you put a ceiling on how great this was based on somebody else's validation of how good it is.
Yep.
And I was like,
yep, it's exactly how I feel.
I'm like, why? Yes.
Yeah.
Like I feel you on that.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes a lot of artists, not even just musically, whatever medium you're in that has a Academy award for that medium, it's like you automatically feel like the validation point of that is that award, versus if millions of people hear your music, if millions of people see your film or stuff like that. I know Grammy Award winning albums that don't have that viewership. They're just recognized.
And it's like a whole bunch of people that got Grammys that I don't even know. And it's like, you know, And I really feel like, you know, actually I spoke to a few rappers and they're just like, man, I'm tired, man. Like, I done did this and I done did this and I done been here. And I'm like, exactly, bro.
Right, like, that's the
You
win.
did it.
That's the win.
You winning. Now keep at
it.
it. Like,
Right.
just because they didn't give you a Grammy or they didn't give you, you know, a meal or whatever it is, like, you got, like, you have it. And I understand, like, a lot of people are, like, just tired and they trying to, you know, they're working a 9 to 5 and trying to be an artist. And yeah, that's completely understandable. You know, you got to make it make sense, which first starts with making yourself a business as an artist. But to staying consistent and then not worrying about, like you said, ceilings. Like, okay, who cares if you don't get a Grammy, you know? Like, I feel like with those things, it's only so many people who can win a Grammy per show anyway. So it's like, you know, a lot of people quit way too early. I feel like as artists, a lot of people quit way too early because of those things. But looping it back, you know, to St. Louis and just your hometown support, you know, I just, you know, like you as an artist, you're not supposed to expect certain things, but as an artist, you expect certain things. Like you want your family to support you, and like support looks a certain way to you, whether that be a share or whether that be, hey, I'm having a show back home, like, you know, pull up to it. And like, those are the simple things that I wish people would do more before artists like breaks, you know, like to say like, yeah, my hometown had my back before anybody knew my name, you know, like that's something that I know an artist will hold so high. Like, you know, the team been had me to, you know, they been had my back, they been supporting. Like, I remember when I threw my first listening party, it was called the Neo Soul Experience, bro. And I was in my mom's living room for hours, messed up her dining table, making my own made from scratch CD cases. And so I went to Walmart and got like these hard foldable papers, and I folded the paper into a CD cover. I cut the CD sleeves, you know, the big CD book that we used to have. I cut the, you know, sleeves out, glued it to the shorty in there, printed some pictures, printed a little CD track list, and put it all together with a little note, burnt the CD with all my music in there that I recorded in the closet.
Lola distribution.
Listen, and like sold out of the CDs. Like, I mean, it was maybe like 20 CDs, but that's all I could get at that time, you know? Yeah. And
you 100%, right?
Listen, I mean, like, I would have been
you said, on paper, you got sold out album.
Sold out! Sold out album and sold out listening party. And it was just like to say like, you know, St. Louis really showed up for me then. Like like that's something that I just want artists like to be able to be like, yeah, like I did this and I remember the city showing up for me, and like, and they really did. Like the little albums that I made on my mama living room table sold out. I had a lineup of a few people and the whole building, you know, showed up and showed out. And it was just a good time. So I do believe that it's your hometown, but I really feel like people who do support artists, especially when it's a new artist and they're coming out new, they should just, you know, find ways to better support their artists. Yeah.
I feel that. That made me think of 2 points. One was, I can't remember the author, but he speaks on being growth oriented versus goal oriented. And I preach that to people a lot because it's kind of like the conversation we were just having, the Kanye West conversation with the looking for the Grammy. It's kind of like you're instead of being goal oriented, like I've got, even with like this show, it's kind of like, well, how many episodes? People having, well, how many episodes are you shooting for? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I'm trying to see how far we can take this.
Right. Yeah. Growth versus goal.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, as long as there's something that's getting better, like whether it be like this is the outlet for me to talk more. Yeah. Like I'm a very quiet in open spaces. Like I'm not a very talkative person. Like I do talk, but I'm very soft spoken. So I'm not like the super loud person. Yeah. Like this is my platform where it's like I get to like people get to know what it sounds like to have a conversation with X sometimes. Yeah. What are some of those growth areas of your life that you're starting to like really pick up? Like you started with music,
Yeah.
and now you have your business with Hustle and Low and like all these other entrepreneur endeavors.
Yeah.
What is something that you're either looking to pick up or you've currently picked up that you're kind of like, all right, cool, like this is something that's going to build me as Lola?
You know, something that I starting to pick up, and it sounds funny because I'm all about collaborations, but being comfortable with, at one, you know, asking for help, which is something that I completely need as an artist, as an entrepreneur, all of it. You know, like I get such in this mode, like, you know what? I can do it by myself. Waiting on people, and, you know, or just having a fear of asking somebody, and then, you know, they're like, no, or they want something, you know, out of it. And so one, it's asking for help, but asking for help in a way where it's going to be beneficial for both parties. And so, you know, partnering with Hustle on Hustle and Low, like he's great with like deals, like saying deals to make people be like, you know what? Yes. You know, like, you know, and so that's what I'm learning is like, you know, I get real shaky when it comes to like, you know, having strict numbers, and I'm like so particular about what the contract says, and like, you know, so just learning how to ask for help, but in a way where it's beneficial to both people. I'm also learning like I have everything that I need. All the resources that I have are very available to me, and I have to realize that and understand that because I'm always on the go, and I'm always like, you know, what I'm learning right now is to appreciate the journey. And so, like I said earlier, I'm so focused on the future that like I don't want to miss out on everything that got me here. And so I'm learning to like take that in, like take that in. Like, what am I learning now? Staying organized, man.
How good are you being? I just finished reading a book called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Really good read. And it really deals with ego. Yeah. But the underlying theme of it is learning how to be present. And I hear you saying a lot about like being on the go and like being so future minded. Like how is Lola being present?
Right. Like that's what I'm working on.
That's what you're working on.
That's what I'm working on is being, you know, being present. And with those things, how I'm doing that is like, for example, I just got a book from one of my good friends, Roz. It's called Heal Thy Hustle. That's a great read. I'm not done with it yet, but Heal Thy Hustle. When I drop this, I need you to tag this part because,
I'll put the book up there.
Yeah, so he's an entrepreneur too, and he went through this journey of herbalism, and he has all these certificates and degrees, and he kind of just goes into like how, you know, not only herbalism, but also being...
Herbalism, break that down for the people that...
So herbalism is basically like the practice of using herbs, instead of like, instead of today's like the modern century over-the-counter drugs. So when we first got on the earth, basically, there was a way where each plant, any sickness that we had in our body, there was a plant that could cure it. And so essentially, basically, there's over-the-counter medications that have a lot of herbs in them. Like a lot of main chemicals in over-the-counter medications are herbs. And so he goes into what herbs are best for you. And it all ties in with me because he goes through it of a life as an entrepreneur, you know, you being an artist, or you being a photographer, you being this person. And like, we know that we're always on the go, but at the same time, like we really do have to take a moment to, you know, breathe, meditate, work out, you know, don't drink as much. Like, you know, maybe drink more tea, maybe don't take the Tylenol. Instead, you know, if you got strep throat, instead of taking, you know, the medication that the doctor gives you, just chew on some garlic and you will be good. And it's like, wow, is it really that, you know? Is it really that simple? So like, I'm really getting into that book, and that's really opening my mind to like do more research on just health. And I know a lot of health is present, you know, really focusing on your body now, and then doing that will, you know, reap benefits in the future. But that's something that Lola Ladaé is working on, is definitely just, you know, being present and appreciative of the moment now.
I respect that.
Yeah.
You gotta send me that book too. So
Yeah, I will. You know what? I sure will.
I'm getting on I'm trying to average 2 books a month. If I can get to 2, like complete 2 books a month, I feel like I'm on a good pace.
It needs to be my goal. My thing is like, I like listening. I can listen to podcasts. I can probably listen to like
I'm a heavy podcast.
A whole podcast. Like, I love crime. What is it? Crime Stoppers? Crime something podcast. And they basically are going through the podcast. Like, I can see these scary moments happening as they're speaking. And so if I can visualize it as I'm hearing it, I'll get through the book fast. Yeah. But if I like have to like just sit there and be like, my brain will start thinking of one thing while I'm reading, and then I just read a whole page. I got to reread.
I'm the same way, but that motivates me to read a physical book. Yeah. Like, all right, this is something that I have to overcome. Yeah. To like. Plus, I like the feeling disconnected. From everything. From the technology part. Yeah, the technology part. Like, I like to feel and flip the physical pages. It's a thing for me. Like, I started a habit of like reading early in the morning. So like, I'll drop Yasir off at school, and then while I'm eating breakfast and making my coffee and read at the same time. See, growth.
That is growth there. That is
Question is this is a random question. I have my random one-off question.
Okay.
So if you had to pick 2 artistic parents that make up who Lola Ladaé is artistically,
who would it be?
Who would those parents be?
Let's see. Okay, artistically, guys, do not judge me when I say this. Okay.
This is
definitely Kanye.
Okay, see,
Kanye creatively, for sure. Like, and I say Kanye because, you know, I don't think Kanye is necessarily the first to do it, but Kanye is the first to be a big name that everybody can relate to. And I say that to say, like, a lot of ideas that I come up with and the visions that I see are, you know, at least I've gotten told at least 34 times in my life, like, yo, like, you remind me, like, how you create this, you remind me of Kanye. And I actually go through and, like, you know, watch Kanye's process and be like, yeah, that's definitely me. Like, you know, watching Kanye in the studio, if people ain't fucking with it, he be like, all right, shit, something else. Let's go to something else then, you know, like, and that's very much me. Like, not only do I want to feel it, I want the people to feel it too. And like, you know, like, or how you do, man, like when you took them freaking pins in the cup, it just was like, and it was a whole sound, like, you know, just being creative in that way. Kanye and let me see.
Second one is always the hard one.
Yeah, I definitely want to say Erica, but I feel like that's so like, well, you know, I just love how different Erica is. And not only that, like, she's always just been down to just be herself.
Erykah Badu for the
Erykah Badu. I'm first name basis.
I like to point that stuff out because for some people, like, we get trapped into speaking to the people that are accustomed to what we know in like our circle.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
like,
there's somebody that's going to come across this and they're going to be like, I found Lola Ladaé from something random that has nothing to do with music. Yeah. And then I saw this interview and it's kind of like, oh, I didn't even know she was into all this other stuff. I'm into like techno, electronic, funk something over here. Yeah. So I say that to say I don't think in either one of those could either be judged or are typical because Erica has such a vast but niche audience that it's like I can definitely see both of those people in you and kind of see how they both feed into like your creative process. Yeah.
Tiana is sis. Like, that's sis, auntie, one of them. Yeah. She's in there.
Yeah, so we got Kanye and Erica with Tiana.
With little Auntie Tiana.
Tiana.
With Auntie Tiana.
I respect it. Mm-hmm. How long have you been on your creative journey?
Wow. So I like to say I've been invested into my creative journey for the last 4 years, but I've been a creative since I was young. I mean, I got a picture of me in a diaper, cowboy boots, and a microphone. Mm-hmm. Like, young before I could even, say words. And, I came up doing plays and, church musicals, mm-hmm. and went through instruments, piano, guitar, mm-hmm. and, I was always curious musically coming up as a kid. So, but I've been invested to it in the last 4 years.
So lifetime, seriously, for?
I would say 22 years.
22 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in that 22 years, how many would you say, mm-hmm. and how mm-hmm. have you had to reinvent yourself?
Wow.
'Cause I feel like I asked that question because I feel like a lot of, for the creatives watching this.
Yeah.
I always like to talk. I like to talk to creatives that have been like digging in on their creativity for at least a decade. Mm-hmm. And I say a decade because one, I know that you had some triumphs.
Yeah.
I know you had some downfalls. Mm-hmm. I know you had some persevering moments.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we've all had to reinvent ourselves to some extent.
Yeah.
And I like to have that motivational aspect of people creatives just understanding like, all right, who you thought you were going to be mm-hmm. and who that person evolves and who that person is now.
Yeah.
How they differ and how much more of yourself you don't even realize you aren't yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a good question because I like you actually just said, I would say it's more of like evolving. Like I evolved over time because, I thought it would be like, when I was first writing music, it was more of a India Arie feel, mm-hmm. But as I got older, I knew like, I wanted to have a sense of a hint of like, sensual curiosity. Like, is she like, kind of like she's sexy, but she ain't too sexy. Like she's not overdoing it. You know what I'm mm-hmm. saying? And so it got into this just acoustic, like cocoa butter singing into a little bit more sensual and then funky. And then I just started trying other genres and getting comfortable with other things. And honestly, the last 4 years have been more of like eye-opening to me when it comes to music. Like, practicing on my voice, on my vocals. Like my voice has not been something that I've always been the most confident in. I used to be very insecure about my voice. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to like actually recording, that was one of the things that was holding me back because I love how I sound live. Mm-hmm. And then I get in the studio and be like, Sade, that ain't it. That is not it.
You said that playback?
Yeah, you know what? It's like that real, like, you sound like this, how you think you sound, and when they play it back, it's like, hold on, is that really me? So, working on that, and with that, I just found out, it really is a different vibe when it comes to live music versus studio.
Drastically.
Yeah, and so working on just being a better vocalist, being a better musician, and also being more committed to my artistry versus the business side of it, like having time to rehearse, having time to practice. And when I do have all of that time, I'm way more confident. And so these are things that I've just started learning the last few years. When you run into like amazing singers who like Beyonce ain't up there, like this girl just sang a whole hour set and danced. And like, it's like, what am I,
what are we doing here?
Like, what am I doing? What are we doing here? And so it's like, you see that and you get encouraged and like, this is something that I'm just now getting into as an artist. It's really like, okay, it's actually time to develop and evolve. Like, you just can't just be a singer today. Like, you have to be a singer, you know, like, and my goal is to get to a place where, you know, not only am I killing it vocal wise, but I'm also doing that, playing bass and dancing. Like, yeah, I'm up here. Jimi Hendrix, Beyonce, you know, like all of that. And so when I was younger, it was really just going through the motions and just, you know, writing a song and performing the song, not necessarily recording it. And now it's like, okay, recording it, getting through all of the emotions of in the studio, getting that out, becoming a better musician, becoming a better artist, and that requires me to put more time, more money into it. And so that's like all of that evolving and all of that reinventing has literally been happening the last 4 years for me. Yeah.
And I think that's a big takeaway from that story is the understanding process. I think a main component to that is like when we're learning part of our craft, a lot of people are just like, all right, well, I think I want to be a singer. Oh, like, let me write a song. You might not finish the first song you write or whatever. Like, you just had the melody. And then the first time you finish the song, you're like, I got a whole song. Like, you know what I mean? And then it turns into like, all right, I wrote a whole song and I got a song recorded. Like, boy, I got an MP3 on the MP3 player. Like, we in the game. I can burn a CD. Boom, boom, boom. Like, all right, cool. Then you go to like, oh man, I have my first visual for my first song now. It's like, all right, cool. Now I'm performing and I got a visual. Oh, I'm about to drop a project. Oh, now I have multiple songs, multiple videos, and I got a set show to actually promoting and marketing that. Now you've kind of seen what that whole process looks like from start to finish. Now it's kind of like, all right, cool. I'm not here to figure out how to do this now. I'm literally perfecting.
It's
I'm
perfecting it.
Now it's kind of like I know what the end result of this is going to look like before I even start this. Now it's just about perfecting every step of that. And I respect that. And I personally, I want to say as a friend, I see that progress in you, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I'm enjoying everything I'm seeing from you.
Thank you.
2 last questions. I'm gonna let you get out of here.
For sure.
One, what is Lola's caffeine? Like, what is your When I ask that question, what is the caffeine? Everything that we've talked about today. Yeah. What is the caffeine that is really keeping you going with everything that you have going on?
Hearing stuff like that, man, like when people be like, no, like for real, I see you. Because when I come across people, you know, and when I actually want to like for real get my point across, I'll be like, no, like you for real. Like,
no,
dope.
like it.
Like, no, yeah, like, let me tell you, like you doing it. And like when I hear people say that, because, you know, I work hard, man. Sometimes I really feel like it's, you know, it's like, you know, I'm 28 and I feel like I should be outside and I should be partying, you know, no kids, and I should really be doing this young thing. And like, my head is really not in a young mentality. I'm so like goal oriented, like you said, I'm goal oriented, focused, and, you know, I forgot where I was going there. But anywho, my caffeine is really just hearing people say, man, I hear you. And getting recognized for the work, not only getting recognized for it, but like knowing that like, there's levels that people see, you know, there's levels to this, and then realizing what I've done and where I've come from. And then my favorite one though, like my favorite one is like crowd participation. When I can like tell the crowd like, okay, y'all gonna say this part, and then y'all gonna say this part, and then y'all say this part, and then the whole crowd be like, it was just, I love it. That is my favorite part.
That little Jacob Collier moment.
Yeah, that is my favorite part of performing right there. And it's like those two things, like I would never get tired of. Do not be afraid to say, girl, I see you, because I'm gonna say it to all my friends, like, you know, so hearing that, that's my caffeine.
I respect that.
Yeah. And performing and getting that crowd participation.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like, when we gonna do this again?
And then last, what would you say is your most valuable habit?
My most valuable habit is, consistency. You know, like I can only stay stagnant for so long. And it's consistent in something. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing. Like I'm always, doing something for Lola, you know, whether it's music or whether it's, you know, picking up a better habit or working out, or it's something that I've always had is that willpower is, I guess, the better word.
I'm hearing consistent self-improvement.
Yeah.
Like
and
always,
then,
what is something that, how can I be better than
yeah,
yesterday?
how can I be, and how can I just be a good human, man? I know I'm not perfect, and I had the ability to be like, you know what? I was wrong in that situation. Maybe I shouldn't say this, or maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe I was a little afraid to do this. And so self-awareness and like that self-awareness and consistency, willpower are something that, like, you know, even if I'm like out of commission for like 7 days, I'd be like, girl, one of these days you're gonna get up. Like, there's no way I'm down too long. Like, it's just, you know, my energy be like, all right, let's get up. Like, it's been 7 days, you just been sitting on the couch, you ain't did nothing.
Right.
And so my body just won't let me do nothing for too long. And so whether that's physical movement or actually putting work in to get something done, it's the consistency and self-awareness for me. Yeah.
That's real. I appreciate the humbleness as a humble person.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that self-reflection and being introspective. Like, being introspective as a creative is dangerous.
Yeah.
An introspective creative is dangerous.
Yeah.
Because literally I can self-assess and create whatever I want to create within being and fix it in the process.
Yep.
That is dangerous, and I commend you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank y'all.
I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having me. Yeah.
This was I enjoyed your conversation. I feel like we tapped into a part of Lola that doesn't get broadcasted all the time. And I appreciate that. Like I told you, like I was telling you earlier, it's like I love this space being like, all right, who is the person that we're talking to? And then from Caffeine and Creatives, you come, you sit down at the coffee table on the comfy couch.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, all right, cool. Like, let me go tap in with this person and like really see what they have going on, because I value them as a person.
Yeah.
Like I agree with them on multiple levels of like, of being a human being. So when those people see this,
thank you for the platform.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So when the people see this and they say yes, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me everywhere. I like to say I'm Googleable. New I'm Googleable shirts coming out very soon.
Let's go.
But you can follow me at Lola Ladaé. That's LOLALADAE. LOLALADAE. I said LOLALADAE. IG, Facebook, all of those things.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys are tapped into Caffeine and Creatives, spelled out. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, on YouTube. Like and subscribe to the YouTube page.
Everything,
Please.
as they would say in St. Louis.
Yes.
On everything.
On everything. Like and subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you're getting all this great content. Yeah. Thank you again, Lola.
Thank you. That was pretty good. That everything was pretty good. Sound like you from Midwest real quick.
Hey, Virginia is a melting pot.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But yeah, we're going to get up out of here. Love y'all. Stay creative. We out.